This is a look inside the box of the Brutfuner oily color pencils. I actually had to cut off the overpack that comes on it. It's just a piece of cardboard that wraps around the box, but it was on there so very tight that I cut it off. And the box, it does have the name on the front of it, and it is just a plain black tin. It is not hinged. And when you open it up, you're presented with the pencils, obviously, in their little cases. It does have the finger holds to pick each one of them up and out. The pencils themselves, quite honestly, these look almost like they're the same pencils as many other brands. And in fact, that's going to be a video that I'm planning to do where I'm going to compare the many different brands of pencils that look like they are actually from the same manufacturing plant, just stamped with someone else's name, to see if there really are any differences. As many of the pencils that are being sold now, these are pre-sharpened, but they're pre-sharpened with this flat point. And really the reason why the point is flat is simply because they're just sharpening it enough to bring the lead out. You know, it's not that the points are broken, as I've seen some people complain about in some reviews on Amazon, that all of the points were cut off. They're not actually cut off. They're actually saving you more of the pencil by not sharpening it down to get that really sharp point on it. And the presentation actually is pretty nice on these. Looking at them though, not sure if you can see that, it looks like some of them are not fully centered leads. Again, not uncommon with the less expensive pencil brands. But the way you can tell if a lead is not completely centered is you see how when it's sharpened, it has an exposure of more color on one side than it does on the other. This can sometimes be problematic depending on how bad the pencil is off center. You may need to actually sharpen it by hand with an X-Acto knife. Alright, so let's open up, take the trays out and have a look at each of them. Okay, I see on this second tray there seems to be one pencil that has a unusual, I'm not sure if you can see that, this is like a spiraled, it's actually in the wood of the pencil, almost, and it goes almost the whole way around it. I don't think it's going to affect the pencil, but just noting that. Alright, we're down to our third tray. It does look like it's going to have some very close and similar colors. This is something that is pretty common, especially in these larger sets of the less expensive pencils. They do have different colors down here on the ends of them, but as you look at the tips, you can see that some of these look like they're going to be very, very close. And when I do the testing of these, I'll also put up another video showing that. And looking at the pencils so far, all of them appear to be in good condition. Oh, that's odd. There's one in this tray. This one right here seems to have some sort of a, see that, like a residue. It just looks like it's possibly residue from sharpening other pencils. I don't think that that's anything to be really concerned about. There are definitely a lovely array of colors here. And this looks like this is, yep, the last tray. And as you can see, they do have a very nice selection from the previous tray and in here of browns. This pencil here seems to be a little shorter than the others, and keep in mind I have not, you're seeing this set for the first time just as I am. I haven't actually opened and used it. The pencil does not appear to be used. It's just, as you can see, a little bit shorter than the others. More than likely, maybe they needed to sharpen it more, or they broke it off or whatever. Again, I don't think that's anything to take away from the quality of the set. But there you have it. That is just the unboxing of these. And I will put up another video where I actually test out the pencils and see what they can do, and also look to see how many duplicates we actually have in this set. Alright, well, I didn't want to bore you with me making the color chart, but there was a color chart underneath of the last tray. And so I went ahead and I actually arranged the colors differently than they were in the trays. I actually only found that there were 6 pencils, 3 colors, that were so close that they actually appear to be duplicates. And that would be 115 and 163, 067, 185, and 055, 093. Bring this up so you can take a look for yourself at the similarities of those. There are a lot of other colors in this set, however, that are very close, but they technically are not duplicates. At first glance, they may look like they are the same color, but if you look really closely, some of them have just a slightly deeper hue. So overall, I don't think it's a bad deal that there were only 6 pencils that ended up being duplicates, so 3 colors that were duplicated. Now what I did is, to test these pencils out, I just grabbed a coloring page out of a cheap coloring book. This is actually one that doesn't have great paper. And I did this because I wanted you to see the differences that there really are in using any colored pencil, whether it be this brand that we're reviewing here, the Brutfuner, or even the most expensive. Because this paper on this coloring page is really cheap, it doesn't have much tooth. In this area of the image, I have already reached the limits of what can be put onto this page. It's not going to take any more layers, so you're really not going to be able to get the deep, deep darks that you want for contrast. I'm probably not going to finish this simply because I know I'm not going to be able to get the look that I want on this kind of paper. So, you know, why waste your time with doing that? Now in comparison, I'd like to show you how these pencils act on actual drawing paper that has a good tooth. So as you can see, the depth of color is much more intense on the drawing paper. I was able to get, probably there's 15 or 20 layers of pencil in some areas on this quick little sketch here. But it's just, you know, it's just so important that you understand that you really can't say the pencils are no good if you go to color a page like this and you're like, oh, this is horrible. This is, you know, it's ugly. I can't get, you know, the intense colors. Don't always think that it's your pencils. In some cases it is. Some of the cheap pencils have no color in them. These ones are not like that though. If you use it on good paper, you're going to get very rich tones from these pencils. Overall, I believe that these pencils are a good value for the money. I'm not really sure what their light fast ratings will be. I'll probably set up a light fast rating test for these, just as I've done with some others. One thing that I would like to point out that's very interesting, I've heard a lot of people say that many of the pencils on Amazon, they look like they're exactly the same. Well, I'm here to tell you they actually are. So this is, the color name is exactly the same in these three sets. It's called Bluish Purple, color number 040. And as you can see, in the Brutfuner, which is the one that we're reviewing now, 180 color set, there's a bluish purple. Sail color, 180, they're bluish purple. And the Shuttle Art set, 174 count, they're bluish purple. And that said, all three of these brands perform identically. I have all three. I've been using all three. So I do believe that it is true that there are some of these companies that are selling the pencils under different names, but all of the pencils are coming from the same factory. They just stamp them for whoever it is that has ordered them. And let me bring this up close to the camera so you can take a good look there yourselves. But yeah, I would say that if you've already got the Brutfuner, you don't really need the Sow Color or the Shuttle Art. And the same as, if you have any of these three sets, you really don't need to purchase one of the others. They're all exactly the same. And one last quick comparison for you. This is the Brutfuner Burgundy color 160, and this is a Prismacolor Premier Raspberry PC 1030. One thing that Prismacolor should be embarrassed about, take a look at those lead centers. Now the Brutfuner is slightly off center, but look at this Prismacolor. It is terribly not centered. But that's not what we're actually comparing here. Again, keeping in mind that the Brutfuner, the Sow Color, and the Shuttle Art are all exactly the same pencils. I just wanted to show you how the two of them perform against each other on good paper. So we're going to try the Brutfuner first. And now the Prismacolor. As you can see, the performance is very, very similar. I can tell you that the feel of the pencil is very much the same as it is laying down on the paper. It has the same consistency. The only slight difference that I notice is with the Brutfuner, it starts to get a little bit slippery faster. In other words, it's filling the tooth a little bit faster than the Prismacolor does. But overall, these two pencils feel and act almost identically. One of them being the much more expensive Prismacolor, and the other the much less expensive Brutfuner. Now, the big difference, as I've said in many videos, is likely going to be the color fastness of this, the light fastness of the pencils. But for those who were curious as to how these less expensive pencils perform compared to Prismacolors, there you have it.